Guys, welcome everyone to Rehab Wallet's masterclass. We are so thrilled to have everybody here. I want to go over our mission real quick. Our mission is to help business owners and real estate investors overcome obstacles, thrive in any market, and grow their business with success. This is our mission, this is our focus, and this is our standard that we want to deliver. Hello, my name is Kelli Garrett. I am one of the co-founders of Rehab Wallet. I spent nearly 20 years as a real estate flipper myself. So this company, Rehab Wallet, was built 60 years ago through the lens of a flipper. I came here to Charleston, South Carolina, is where I live today. I came here to play basketball here a few decades ago and fell in love with the palm trees and ocean and kind of just never left. So I am married on a personal note. For almost 25 years we've been together. So that is a little bit about me. Susie, I'm going to let you do a little quick intro, please, ma'am.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Super excited that you've joined us. This is now our fourth webinar, and we are just thrilled to have Jason on. My name is Susie Balda. I'm the Director of Sales. I've been fortunate enough to be part of Rehab Wallet for a little bit over 3 years. In the past, I've spent about 25 years in retail management, large big box retailers, corporate America, driving a lot of results through really people. So I am thrilled to be here today. I can't wait to hear a lot about Jason, and we've got some pretty cool questions for him as well.
Yeah, I want to do a quick bio. I'm going to do a little reading real quick because I do not want to mess this up. We're so happy, Jason, that you agreed to join us. But Jason Cousineau, he came to the United States on a baseball scholarship because he's originally from Canada in 2004. And while earning his degree, he ran a college pro painters franchise during his junior year. And it kind of sparked his passion for entrepreneurship. After graduation, he launched his own commercial painting and drywall company in 2008, completing notable projects like the Hawkeyes indoor football facility, super cool, a 200,000 square foot music building on the University of Iowa. So then we go to 2015. Jason shifted into media and marketing and operated 3 advertising franchises that work with top producing real estate professionals across multiple markets. Then it takes us to 2021. He founded Bright Day Properties, where he was investing in multifamily and self-storage assets. And then in 2022 is when Jason launched his business that would define his next chapter. They're called The Suites. And we cannot wait to hear from him today about this one niche inside commercial real estate. He is married when he's not touring properties and sketching floor plans. Jason enjoys time with his wife and 2 daughters. He's an amazing golfer, great athlete, and mentoring other real estate professionals. Guys, help me welcome my good friend, Jason Cousineau. Thank you so much, Jason, for having us. We're going to sit back, get out of your way, let you pour into us. Let us everybody here listen to this amazing niche. We love it. We appreciate your business at Rehab Wallet. You borrowed a little bridge money from us. And again, just everybody doesn't realize sometimes that we not only lend to fix and flippers, we also lend to commercial guys and gals. So again, let me hush, let me breathe. Jason, you take us from here and just pour into us. Thank you so much for being here.
No, I'm very, very excited for the opportunity, Kelli, and thank you to you, Kelli, and to Susie for the invite and for having me on here, and also for your guys' support with the Suites too. And just excited to have an opportunity to share a little bit about what we're doing at the Suites, and I'll probably just jump into how I got involved in it. And so, like Kelli was sharing with you guys a little bit ago, I own a commercial painting and drywall business for many years, and my ex-partner in that business and we bought a building downtown Davenport, Iowa. And that is where our first Suites location is located. And as part of our buyout of our painting business, my partner gave me that building. And my original plan for that property was to create a shell to attract a local restaurant or a brewery. That building's right downtown Davenport, Iowa. It's a few blocks up from a minor league baseball team. There's a corner parking lot. I was going to put an outdoor patio in it. I was going to put garage doors on the side of the building. I mean, I had this all figured out. And then when I was walking the building with my architect to start taking some dimensions of the property, he was going to start sketching it out. He asked me a question almost 4 years ago that really launched me into the suites. And he basically said, Jason, this would be a great brewery or restaurant, but have you ever heard of salon suites? And I said, no, what are those? And he explained how, well, you essentially have a building and you chop it up into a bunch of micro offices, and then beauty and wellness professionals will lease each unit and run their business out of it. And I had never heard of the concept before. And so, not knowing what I didn't know about the model, I, jumped online and started doing some research. But really what piqued my interest is when I started stopping into other salon suite facilities here in the Quad Cities, out in Milwaukee and in Des Moines. I was still running my marketing franchises at that time. And I would stop into these other salon suite facilities and I would catch up with tenants in between their clients. And I would just ask them, hey, how long have you been here? What do you like about it? What would you change about the place if it was yours? And then the last question I always asked was, how much are you paying a month to rent your suite? And then what I would do is I would look up at the ceiling tiles and I would count the length and the width. And ceiling tiles are normally 2x2 or 2x4. And I would figure out the square footage of the room. And then I would really understand what people were paying per square foot to run their business in a salon suite facility. And when I started hearing the premium that these folks were paying to lease space in other people's salon suite facilities, that's when, the light bulb moment happened for me in between my ears. And so when I went back to my downtown Davenport, Iowa building, had I had leased that building to a restaurant or to an insurance agent, it's a 4,000 square foot building, and market rents where that building is about $12 a square foot. So my gross rent potential in that building would have been about $50,000 a year. While dropping the salon suites model into it, what I found after doing all that research was I could 3x the amount of gross rents in the same size building by operating it as a salon suite facility. And so that location, downtown Davenport, Iowa, it's been open for over 3 years now. We have 19 of the 20 suites filled up right now. We've had multiple renewal cycles, and that building generates about $160,000 a year in gross rents in the same space. And so after I started filling up those suites downtown Davenport in my first location, and filling them up pretty quickly as well, I started realizing, wow, like there's really something here. And so that's when around that timeline I joined the Legacy Family Mastermind, Kelli, which I know you're a part of as well. Started connecting with other real estate professionals that are a lot more tenured than I was at the time, that just had a lot more experience. And when I started sharing with other people in that group what I was doing and how I was going about doing it, I just heard a lot of recommendations. Jason, you should do this again, and then again, and then again and again. And that's really kind of fueled the growth to where we are today. And so right now we have 6 locations open at the suites. We're open in Davenport, Iowa, Moline, Illinois, Galesburg, Illinois, Peoria, Illinois, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Ohio, and then we have 7 other locations that are all going to be opening up by the end of this year. And so it's been a fun ride. Definitely learned a lot about taking properties from being completely vacant, renovating them, and then leasing them all up. And also learned a lot about myself too. I've always kind of been more of a solo entrepreneur. I mean, I did run a painting business and had painters, but what I'm learning now more than anything is, I can't be responsible for everything at all times. And that's really the one thing that I'm working on myself right now in the business and the suites is creating SOPs and getting out of the way myself so other people can thrive in positions as well.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I love to hear always how you kind of got started. And I think as entrepreneurs or leaders, often we just have to take the minute to listen, right? And you listening to that one concept just totally changed your trajectory. So guys, I'm going to encourage everybody to go ahead and type any questions that you may have. And we're going to go ahead and answer them here live and kind of put Jason a little bit on the spot. But I've got the kind of one of the first ones that I think as we all continue to take on different roles, so much can be learned from one chapter to another. So you've gone from running a painting business to media to marketing, then into multifamily investing, now the salon suites. Looking back, what were some of the biggest lessons that each chapter kind of prepared you to build the suites? And again, whether it was one pivoting decision or question that someone asked, would love to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah, so I think from the construction side of things, I've been in construction my entire life. My dad was a project manager and senior site superintendent for a really large commercial construction company when I was young back home in Ottawa. My dad was actually the lead site superintendent to build the arena where the Ottawa Senators NHL team plays. And so I was running around on job sites, on schools, and in museums that he was doing all the time. So construction's really just in my DNA. And so when I opened up the painting and drywall company, a lot of that came natural. I think where that's really helped me with the suites is we've GC'd 95% of our projects myself up until this point. That's going to change here in a bit moving forward. But what that has done is I have a lot of firsthand knowledge on, how trades work, the sequencing of different projects, milestones when you're renovating a property. And so, what happens before rough-ins are done, getting inspections lined up, what trades can be working simultaneously in the building and not bumping into each other, putting budgets together, your bid process, always getting 3 or 4 proposals to make sure you're getting competing quotes so that you stay within budget on all of your renovations. So that knowledge has definitely served me well for the construction piece of the suites. And then in 2015, as Kelli was sharing earlier, I used to run some marketing and advertising magazines that were for the top performing real estate agents here in the Quad Cities in my backyard, and then in Milwaukee and in Des Moines. And a large part of what we did was attracting lenders, attorneys, home builders, insurance companies, a lot of folks that wanted to develop relationships with those top performing realtors in those markets. And a lot of that experience has helped me learn how to effectively market and get people into the platform that you're offering to them. And so for me, when you blend both of those two things together, the construction and the marketing and advertising, and that's essentially what we're doing at the suites. We buy properties, we renovate them efficiently, and then we market them to advertise them and fill them up. And so both of those skill sets have served me really well in what we're doing with the suites.
Awesome.
Jason, it makes me think about this book I'm reading right now called The Science of Scaling. And, you've kind of mastered this already with all the teachings inside this book. And it kind of talks about keeping everything simple, and that growth usually goes and comes from clarity inside simplicity, instead of it being more and more complex, getting rid of all the extras. And your focus on the suites kind of is a perfect example of that principle. And so it's very interesting that, you've kind of drilled down commercial properties into something so simple. And I'm gonna call it niche, but I don't know that I'm going to use that word moving forward. I kind of like just the simple approach to it, and you're doing it over and over and over again, a repeatable model for scaling. So if you just want to do one commercial property, that's one thing. But if you want to continue to repeat a model with investors and with partners, this was a great way to do that. So I applaud you for it. So tell me how you have, you said about the solo piece of it, and now you're going to scale with investors and partners. So how has that been in this new transition?
And so what we've done to scale the model is we partnered right now we have 9 active real estate investors that are active partners of mine in the suites that I'm not local to. And so we have partners. I have 2 partners in Des Moines, one in Kansas City, one in the Twin Cities, one here close to me in my backyard, Cincinnati, Dayton, Buffalo, and then up in Milwaukee. I think that's all of them. And so those partnerships, those local real estate investors, they bring a lot of the local knowledge, and they essentially act as our boots on the ground in the markets that I'm not local to. And so they can act as my eyes and ears on a day-to-day basis and on a weekly basis. And then we have a regular scheduled weekly call where, we address issues and, move things along together. And so how we're going to scale the suites is each of those partners, they all want to develop 3, 4, 5 plus locations in their backyard. And so what's nice is after we get the first location done and we successfully, refinance it and get it filled up, stabilize, all those things, they're going to want to do the second location and a third location. So there's already some additional scaling that will come just in the established partnerships that we have. So right now our focus, we're not looking to add more active partners right now. We're looking to focus on what we currently have in our ecosystem. But moving forward, after we stabilize the round of projects that we have going on right now, we are going to be looking to add some more partnerships next year. And what's nice about it is, and I didn't even realize this myself until about a year ago. I actually had a call with one of the ex-founders of Salon Lofts, who is a really big player in the salon suite world. And they actually have 28 locations in Columbus, Ohio alone, which is a market center of about 1 million people. And so there's a lot of room for multiple salon suite locations in each of the markets where I have a partner in, which provides a lot of opportunity for them as well, which really gets me fired up because, these things cash flow really well. And of course, there's a lot of equity on the backside as well once you get these stabilized.
Good stuff.
Awesome. So we have some questions rolling in. The first one came, what's the average lease term for the salon suites?
Yeah, good question. So anywhere between 1 and 3 years is what we've been doing. We actually just had someone message us yesterday saying that they wanted to sign a 5-year lease. We haven't done that yet. So that kind of opened up my eyes. But the normal leasing terms in the industry is 1 year. We don't do any month-to-month leasing, but typically our leases are 1 to 3 years, but the majority of them are 12 months.
Okay. And then do you have any common amenities, or does each tenant have their own private bathroom, sinks, etc.?
Yep. So there's a common area break room where we have like a kitchen set up. We normally provide free laundry on site as well, so that everybody can wash their linens, towels, and stuff like that. They don't have bathrooms in their suite. We have 2 or 3 different bathrooms strategically positioned throughout the property. And then there is an entry waiting area as well, where we typically have a TV up on the wall with a directory, so everybody knows where everybody's located throughout the building. And then that's basically the waiting area as well for guests if they're waiting for their service provider to finish with the customer that they're currently serving in their suite.
Awesome. And then what are the top 3 sources that you find tenants from?
A lot of it's on social media. We have a lot of paid ads that are going out consistently on Instagram and on Facebook. We're also using Claude now to scrape leads through booking links and other salon suite sites online. And then our Go High Level system is now automatically sending messages to these folks on a consistent basis, just introducing who we are, letting them know that we're here and around. But I think the biggest thing that has provided us with a lot of success, I kind of, maybe this term's been around, but I call it digital door knocking. And so our marketing team, they engage with 25 local beauty professionals online in the markets that we're local to. They like and follow and then comment on posts of different people every single day. So they're constantly seeing our brand. And then in addition to that, we also send 20 to 25 DMs each day just through cold outreach. And inevitably, we get one back a day saying that they want to be added to our wait list or they'd be interested in coming in for a tour. So I think like most things in business, you really want to control what you can control. And we found that this direct outreach system that we've created, or this digital door knocking, as I've coined it, has proven to be very successful for us to get our buildings filled up, and then also to build a wait list before we've even opened up our doors.
That's awesome. I love that. What are the top 3 tenant types?
Hairstylists, barbers, We've had a lot of tattoo artists recently actually leasing space from us, but I would say it's mainly hairstylists and estheticians. Those are the main two. Hairstylists typically make up half of our tenancy in our buildings.
Okay. I'll tell you, I used to live in Florida, near Jupiter area, and I got my eyebrows done one day. And sure enough, the location was a suite. And I walked in and it had just exactly what you said, TV on the right with, directory. And then I walked in and what I thought was the office, but it wasn't. It was a tattoo parlor. And then that was the spouse. And then the wife did the eyebrows just down the
On the
hall.
other
So
side, yeah.
it was a
Yeah,
pretty cool concept.
and I know when I started doing the suites, Kelly frequents them quite a bit too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
My masseuse and girl that cuts my hair, both of them in a salon suite here in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
That's
Think
awesome.
about you every time when I go in there. I'm just thinking, Jason's making money every day. As I sit in there and there's one, she can just cut one person's hair, and I don't know what she pays. I've never asked her, but it might be three. What's the average square footage for yours, Jason?
Anywhere. So our single suites normally start at about 105 to 110 square feet, and then we have double suites that are 200 to 250, and then we normally offer a couple different sizes in between, just so we have some variety. So it really just depends on what that beauty professional is looking for.
Exactly.
And that leads us to kind of the next question. What do you look for in a property when buying? What is the kind of ideal layout?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's evolved over time. So initially we were mainly focused on price per square foot. And so I'm very aggressive with my entry purchase price because I want to create a lot of margin. And in addition to that, something that a lot of people ask me sometimes is, well, it isn't like location extremely important. And it is to a certain degree, but we're not going to get the price per square foot price that we're after when we're looking at properties that are anchored by Chick-fil-A or Target or any other national retailer. And so the lens that I always use when I'm looking at evaluating a property is if my family doctor for my kids were to move to another area of town and I were to send my wife and my two kids to that building, would I feel comfortable sending them there? And if the answer is yes, then it will work for a salon suite facility, because again, it's the relationship that the service providers have with their clients that pulls them to the building. So as long as there's some retail around it, right, and there's a decent vehicle per day traffic that's coming by, like I will look at that building over one that's in the best area of town all day long, so I can pay 50% less per square foot and then drop the model inside of it and then market and advertise it well and bring the service providers into that property.
Any specific zoning, Jason?
It's mainly just commercial, but specific. Going back to Susie's question, I forgot to answer that question specifically. So we used to buy 5 to 10,000 square foot office buildings, and a lot of times we had to go in and demo the entire floor plan because we have to trench the floor to put plumbing lines in to run water into each of the individual suites. And more recently, we've been strategically trying to buy old medical offices or dentist's office instead, that already have plumbing in rooms already, which makes the conversion faster and much easier for us as well. And it also drags down the cost pretty tremendously too, because you're not having to demo the entire interior floor plan and then rebuild it all and run the plumbing everywhere. And so we've done that now with our last 4 acquisitions. Well, 2 of them are under contract right now. Our last 2 acquisitions were former medical buildings, and our next 2 are going to be as well. And we're going to continue to do that moving forward. We've just found that there's a lot of savings on the renovation, but in addition to that, your holding costs are also a lot less because the timeline from when you buy the property and then are able to get your CO or open your doors, you're compressing the time quite a bit too. And so your interest reserve, your insurance costs, all those things, you're able to start generating rent a lot faster by buying a medical building versus a traditional office property.
100%. That was a nugget right there that probably just saved somebody if somebody's interested in doing that. Because I'm sure, again, you didn't go in knowing this, and now after 13 that you'll have soon, kind of tallied up here, you've learned a lot along the way. That's a nugget right there. That again, for anybody listening,
100%.
So Kelly alluded to this a little bit. Obviously, you completing your first full cycle investment cycle: acquiring, converting, leasing, refinance, and then returning investors' capital. What did that particular milestone validate for you, and any sneak peek as you grow from 13 to 50 locations on what that next, step would look like?
Yeah, I think that it works. It's the biggest thing, right? I mean, for a long time, and this is true in any business, you're delivering a lot of promises at the start, and now it's nice to just have the proof and just, hey, like, this is what we did, this is how we did it, and the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, now. And so the first location, while I didn't bring in investor capital, I brought my own capital to that, and I was able to refinance proceeds out. And so essentially I was the investor for that one. So we did it successfully on our Davenport location. Then we went over to our Moline one. I did bring in an investor into that project, successfully renovated the property, leased it up, and then refinanced it, and was able to pay that investor a handsome return on his capital, and then returned his capital to him as well. And now we're starting on our Peoria location. That's the next one that's in our pipeline right now. That was the first ground up build that I ever did. We definitely ran into some complications with the city, and throughout the process, I learned a lot. I normally set a 2-year timeline for our investors, and we did go over the 2-year mark with those investors, but I told them every time we had delays, why it happened, what we learned from it. They're still earning the 12% return that we give to our investors while their money hasn't been returned. We need one more lease, which I'm hoping I'm going to get tomorrow, because we have a few showings lined up there, and that's going to trigger the refinance event on that property, so we can get those investors paid back as well. And then we have 3 or 4 that we're going to be looking to refinance later this year once we get those properties filled up and stabilized too.
Okay. One of the main questions a lot of people ask us at Rehab Wallet, or as investors, or what have you, in the community is like, how do you get started, or how do you find properties and on the acquisition side? So do you have a broker that is dripping you deals in the areas that you want to actually start these in, or are you dependent on a particular partner to say, hey, he or she has that broker in that area? Are you working with brokers, or are you looking, where's your acquisition piece at?
Yeah, we do a lot of our own research, to be honest, Kelly. So we find a lot of our properties just on LoopNet and Crexi. There's just a lot of underutilized office and medical buildings that are out there that are just sitting vacant, right? I mean, office space is definitely not as desirable as an asset class as it once was, with, the working from home and COVID happening and all that. And so we've been able to find these properties, I would just say online more often than not. There are some markets where I've had a local partner of mine that had a relationship with a broker, and so we have engaged them sometimes, but the majority of our properties that we've taken down have just come from doing searches on Crexi and LoopNet, and then trying to find properties that have been sitting for 6 months to a year, so that maybe just finding some really motivated sellers. They're just tired of their property not selling, and then be able to come in quite a bit less than they're asking, to try to bring down that purchase price even more, to make it even a more attractive buy on the front end.
Good deal.
So we have another question, and this one tickles me a little bit because I spent quite a bit of years as a director of HR. But do you ever run into situations with competition or disagreements amongst tenants? Do you have guidelines set up for these types of businesses who you rent to, or how do you address those conflicts?
So we haven't had too many issues. What's nice about there are some, don't get me wrong, for sure, but all of our tenants, they have to submit an application before they partner with us. So we do a quick credit check and background check to make sure they're a good fit for our ecosystem. And we have had a few people that we've turned away just because they had some stuff on their background check that we just weren't comfortable with, and so we said no to them. One thing that I will say is, when you're bringing 20 to 25 professionals into a building, and I mean, one bad seed can ruin the experience for a lot of people. And so thankfully we haven't had too many, I would say, like, really big issues, but we do have some times where someone might be playing music too loud in their suite. And so when we get a complaint that comes in through our system, what's nice, and I haven't mentioned, is we have our own property management company as well. for the suites. And the person who's running that property management company, Christina, she's been with me now for about 12 years. And she used to take care of all of our marketing and advertising partners when I ran the three franchises that were going out, or the magazine that was going out to the real estate professionals with real producers when I was working on that. And she's largely doing a lot of the same work now with our buildings, just being the front line of defense. And so anytime that we get a complaint come in, whether hot water's not getting to a suite, or there's an outlet that went out, or a complaint that someone's playing music too loud, that goes into Christina right away, and then she's on it within typically 5 minutes, sending a message out to everybody in the facility, reminding them of the expectations and being courteous and respectful to everybody that's in the facility. And so we haven't had too many really, I guess, bad issues, thankfully, so far. And I think a lot of it is just because we take our screening process really seriously, and we want to make sure that we're setting people up to succeed in our properties.
Well, I think you said it, you nailed it, staying on it, right? So many issues start small, and then we tucked it under the rug, and then they're these huge concerns, and we're like, how did we get here? And it's because someone didn't address it. So you putting something in place like that is just amazing.
And one more thing, Susie, I think it's the speed of which you address the issues too, which train people to understand that they can't get away with it. And so it's the speed and the consistency of it that help people understand that I can't do this while I'm here. And if there is repeatable offenses, like, I have the right to be able to tell them, well, we're going to give you a notice to vacate if you're not going to play by the rules. Because again, I'm not going to allow one person or one lease interfere with the other 20 professionals that are in that ecosystem or that community in one of our facilities.
And then all the other tenants observing, because people talk, right? Observing you guys address it that way keeps them engaged, just there. It encourages them to continue to renew, because you're not going to let things slide like that. So that's awesome. Kudos to you and your team. We've got another question that came in. How do you determine demand of an area for beauty services?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's hard because there's not like a software out there, like a feasibility study that you can do for self-storage or multifamily. And so for me, more than anything, is I just personally believe that if I buy a building in a market that has a strong population density of at least 75,000 people within a 5-mile radius of the buildings that we're acquiring, that we can fill it up, because we're really good at marketing. And when we get someone, we're really good at caring and loving on the people that are in our properties and in our buildings. So we haven't discovered a way yet to like really show how saturated a market is with salon suites. But the way that I look at it is I know that the generations that are coming up now, the younger generation, they're wanting to work for themselves more than ever. And I know that there's 0.0056 beauty or wellness professionals. There's an equation that I don't want to bore you guys with it, that I run to understand how many salon suites we're going to put in a market. And I'm just extremely bullish on our marketing and advertising efforts to know that I can fill up the 20 spaces that we have in those buildings. And so, to be honest with you, I don't really focus much on what the competition is doing. I'm aware of it, but it's not going to make me not want to pursue a market if I know that the population center is correct in that area and I can buy a building at an attractive price point.
Awesome. Interesting. You mentioned that the younger generation wants to work for themselves. I have a 26-year-old that's about to start her own business. And I'm thinking, what's wrong with working for someone else? You're so young, but yeah, that's her passion. She just wants to do her own thing, and kudos to her. So interesting you said that. We've got another question that came in. What technology do you use to access the building and each suite?
We always use Butterfly MX. We have a digital entry access panel on the outside of all of our buildings, so we can see who's coming in and coming out. That panel also has a directory. It also enables us to have the door automatically open between normal working hours. And then if somebody wants to come into the building to work after hours, they're welcome to do that in the building. And then at our first location, every time I walk into the first one, I'm like, man, there's like 20 different things I would have done differently. But one of the features that we always have in all of our locations now is each of our suites has a digital lock now, not a key. And so there's a 4-digit pad that everybody can use, 4-digit code that they use to open and close their door. and TT Locks is the name of the company that we use for those locks. But yeah, it's Butterfly MX for the front digital panel, and then TT Locks are the name brand and manufacturer of the locks that we use for the individual suite doors.
Awesome. It's amazing how much money we're saving with that now today. Back when I used to run stores, anytime a manager left and they didn't want to return keys, you had to rekey the entire store, replace everybody's keys. It was such a mess. So that's awesome. We got another question.
We actually just had that problem at our first location where we don't have digital locks. We had to track down a key and bring in a locksmith and get new keys done. And yeah, it saves a lot of headaches when everything's digital entry and access. But the other issue with that is batteries also go dead too. So you have to have reminders in your calendar to replace the batteries on a consistent basis too. Just a different set of problems.
Yes, we have another question. Do you have multi-floor buildings with elevators, and how much does that add to the expenses?
We do. I hate elevators, to be honest, because they're an annual expense, and a lot of times they can break down on you. But we do have a couple of them. What was the question specifically, Susie?
What was the expense allotted to any buildings you have that have multi levels?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there was an expense added. I think it's important anytime before you buy a property that you have a very long due diligence list. And so in the properties that we did take down that had 2 levels and an elevator inside of them, we made sure that we had a couple different elevator companies come out and assess the elevators. And there were repairs that had to be made on both of them. And so we just need to make sure that you have professionals come out, examine all the mechanical systems, the integrity of the roof, foundation, scope the sewer line on every property you're going to buy. And then for the elevator specifically, we always have at least 2 elevator techs come out and tell us if there's any issues, so that we know what we're getting into when we take down the property.
So maybe not your preference to go into buildings that have elevators, or would you say as long as you take care of them and service them regularly, they're not typically a headache?
They're not typically a headache. I mean, as long as you have someone stopping by every 6 to 12 months to do an inspection on it, you can get in front of any really big problems as long as your elevator technician's coming out and taking a peek at it regularly. But again, they're not my favorite, but at the same time, if you can buy a 2-level property that has an elevator in it that's in good condition at an extremely attractive price point, that's going to create a lot of margin on the back end. I'm comfortable taking that on.
Okay. And then what else would you have done differently? Obviously, as you look to scale from 13 open to potentially 50 in the future, what as you continue to grow and learn and pivot as necessary, what would you have done differently?
Yeah, I think there's 2 things. Number one, and this was a big swing and miss on my part, I was under the belief that because beauty and wellness professionals are in the aesthetics world, that they needed to see something before they would commit to it. And so I didn't think that like pre-leasing was a really big opportunity. I thought that they would want to come into the building, see all the finishing touches. And so our first couple, the first 2 or 3 properties that we didn't pre-lease anything. It was always get your CO and then start inviting people into the building so they could see the finished product. And now what we're starting to see is we've been able to pre-lease one of our properties right now that's opening August 1st. We're past a third filled up already, and we believe that we're going to get to 40 to 50% occupied before we even open our doors. And so pre-leasing is definitely a strategy that we weren't doing a good job. I wasn't doing a good job of when I first started the suites. The second thing, while GCing our projects has been good to understand the entire process and what needs to happen, put together budgets for all the locations moving forward. Where we're pivoting to next is I want to remove myself from the construction process entirely and partner with a general contractor that can be our GC for all of our developments, so that we can focus more. And a lot more of my attention is going to go into the velocity of getting suites filled up, and then spending more time in the capital raising department as we kind of go to the next level here within the suites. And so it was a good experience. Definitely made my days and weeks a lot more chaotic, tracking down contractors and overseeing 6, 7, 8 different projects in multiple different markets at various different stages all the time. But it's time that we move that responsibility off to somewhere else so that I can focus more on running the business and getting these facilities stabilized and filled up as quickly as possible.
Yep. You earned your shirt. You've got the t-shirt. Now time for your superpower. So that's
Yep.
awesome.
There's been a big flow in this conversation. It's very tactical. And that's what we wanted this masterclass to be, instead of it being all mindset and that kind of thing. I mean, today, I bought a lot of properties in my 30-year career here. If today I wanted to go and pivot or just get started, you got so many. I was writing them down as he said it. And because, if somebody teaches us how to do something, what's the old saying? If you feed a man a fish, you can feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, you can feed him for a lifetime.
Yep.
So I feel so strongly when people say, well, Kelli, how'd you get started? And how did you do that? And how'd you buy that? And how did you start that? Well, this is how. Listen, we in this 35 minutes of Jason speaking, we have started on the flow. We've acquisition. How do we acquire properties? Craigslist, LoopNet. Okay. You can get a broker if you want. Okay. Okay. Now you know who to use for digital locks and don't have keys. Don't worry about competition. How about that nugget? Don't worry about competition. All we have is 20 units to fill. That's it. In this one specific area, he doesn't worry about competition. I love that. You can pre-lease. I never would think you could pre-lease that either. I would think they would need to see it and vision it, but learn that. You could pre-lease. Reminders for batteries. How about that? The Butterfly MX for your automated system on the front doors, right? 75,000 population in a 5-mile radius. How about that nugget? That's where you go find these buildings. And then on the back end side of the dispo, so we went from acquisition all the way to dispo, a bank and a conventional lender will refinance this, it sounds like. Let's talk about that last little piece of the pie here of paying back your investors or paying back your partners or your bridge debt or what have you. What kind of debt is on the back end, and will a traditional conventional bank lend on this?
Yeah, so our total project cost when you combine our acquisition costs and our remodeling costs, it's typically right around 1.2 to 1.3 million. That's where we're at on average for a facility that gives us 25 to 27 salon suites. Now we have some buildings that are less than that. Our smallest building only has 10 salon suites, and our total debt on that property was like 400K. And we've got our property in Milwaukee that has 43 salon suites in it. But the average is, the total debt stack is right around 1.2 to 1.3. And when we first started, we did have issues with appraisers because a lot of times they would say they would see the word salon, and I wasn't doing a good enough job educating them. And they would want to say, well, the real estate's worth this, and there's going concern value, or you're running a business operation. And I've just developed a narrative now over time, and I'm providing so much ammunition to the appraisers now where they're not putting any going concern value on the properties because they can see, and we're demonstrating, look, these are just micro offices that we're leasing, and we're running this through Appfolio like a real estate asset. And there is no business operation. There's no receptionist. There's no secretary running anything. I mean, it's just a building with rooms. And when you look at my pro forma, show me what ancillary business revenue I'm bringing in besides the rents that are coming in from each of the doors. And so over the past year, we've been able to get appraisers to come up to $300 to $400 a square foot on the back end when we're buying and renovating these things for 125 to 175, which gives us a lot of margin on the back end, which again affords us the ability to bring on investors comfortably, knowing that we can pay them a handsome return, and then also have the confidence to take care of their principal and then return their capital at the refinance event.
Very good. The flow is closed. The dispo has been sold. You can get conventional down the back end with very, very amazing rates, and keep this as long as you want to keep it, or sell it off to an investor if you wanted this to transition up if you wanted to. I don't know, but you know,
And in full transparency though, Kelly, like it did take me a long time to like understand how to have that conversation, because at the end of the day, uh,
yep.
appraisers work for the banks. They're going to be conservative. But it's just one person's opinion of value, right? And so a lot of times what you as the operator have to do, especially when you're doing something that's a little bit more niche, if you want to call it that, you have to arm the appraiser with so much information that they can't ignore the fact that there isn't a business operation going on inside. You're just leasing spaces to beauty and wellness professionals. And a lot of times what I did have brought up in conversations was, self-storage trades at, 5, 6, or 7 cap right now. Well, it didn't always trade like that, right? Like it like 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, self-storage back then wasn't the way that it is now. And so I would say like my vision for the suites when I originally started this was to Ray Kroc the salon suite industry. We don't lease space. And now like we're really starting to have momentum in how we're presenting our stack and pro forma and the messaging that we're giving to the appraisers so they can see that this is a real estate asset that other investors will want to invest in, and it can trade at a 7 cap or an 8 cap on the back end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very
so we've
good.
got time for about 1 or 2 more questions. Do you offer any tenants the opportunity for them to customize the space, or do you keep the aesthetic the same for all units?
No, that's one thing that I've found that a lot of beauty and wellness professionals like about our approach is we allow them to do what they want with their space so that it truly reflects their business. So if they want to paint a wall green or blue in their suite because that's the color of their business or their logo, we allow them to do that. And we always have a Rolodex of contractors that they can choose from to come in. They have to pay for it, but we don't hold back as long as it's in good taste, of course. They can do what they want with their space. And so we provide them with a shampoo bowl and chair and a storage hutch, or we install a sink for them depending on their business needs. But from there, they can do what they want with the walls. They can hang shelving. They have to return it to the state that it was when they took over the space, but we do allow them to customize their space. And one other nugget that I want to share, which is very valuable, and this could apply to other things, not just salon suites, is we don't charge a security deposit. We charge a move-in fee. So we charge a one-time $750 or $1,000 move-in fee, which is revenue. It's not refundable. And so how we approach that is we tell them, for renting here, there's a $750 move-in fee that includes all the common area cleaning, maintenance, and the grounds while you're here, your online portal, and admin fees. And I've never really even had an issue with it. I think I've only had one person that said that they didn't like that they didn't get their move-in fee back. But what's nice about that is it eliminates a lot of issues on the back end if somebody does move out. Like, well, you didn't patch the walls properly when you moved out, right? And multifamily investors, I'm sure, go through this all the time when they fight with each other over security deposits. Well, we don't have that issue. And so what's nice is that all goes to revenue, and it's not a deposit that we have to return on the back end.
Awesome. I like that. Okay, I don't think we have any questions. Anything else you want to help us close? Jason, you've been amazing, and love hearing everything about your journey. Tons of nugget, like Kelly said. We're going to be replaying this for everybody that was not able to join. But anything else you want to help us wrap this up?
Yeah, I'm not too far along in this journey. Like a lot of people may hear 13 locations and that sounds like incredible growth, but like I still feel like I'm a student and I'm learning every day. I can't tell you how much it helped to join the Legacy Family Group, the mastermind that Tim put together. I mean, when I first joined that group and walked in the room, I mean, I had no idea that I'd be doing what I'm doing today. And I could really point specifically to the people that I met in that room to instill me with confidence that I could do some very exciting things in the commercial real estate world. And so I would just encourage everyone, to get around great people that are more tenured than they are, and whatever it is that you're doing, ask a lot of questions, be vulnerable. And at the end of the day, just have an unwavering belief in yourself that you can figure anything out or whatever life throws at you. Because at the end of the day, like someone else has had this problem that you're facing. If you're going through something hard right now before you, someone has a solution. And I try to tell myself this all the time when the days feel long or the weeks feel long, or I'm just dealing with a ton of adversity or a ton of problems. I would rather choose the problems that I'm dealing with today versus having the problem or dealing with regret of not jumping in and doing something like this 20, 30 years down the road. Like that pain of that regret would cripple me. I really feel like it would. And so jump all in, chase your dreams. Other people want to help you. And yeah, I'm kind of a testament to that.
Cool. Couldn't say it any better. Couldn't say any better. Jason, we appreciate you being here and spending a good 45 minutes, 50 minutes with us today, and really just being tactical and delivering these nuggets to our people and to anybody really that's following you and to following Rehab Wallet. That's what we want to do. You know, Rehab Wallet is more than a lender, and what we're trying to, continually, and you use that word, I love this word, consistently ensure that people understand that we're not a lender. We're trying to help everybody make as much money and spend as much time as they want with their families. That's our main mission here. So, Jason, again, thank you so much for your time this morning, guys. I'm sure that we got some inside this, Susie. We got some ways to find Jason.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to go ahead and put on there how you can connect with Jason directly if you guys are interested. Yes, can't thank you enough, Jason. We really appreciate it. And it really invite everybody else in. Also, we are going to host our next webinar on August the 3rd. So it'll be the first Monday of August at 11:30. We're going to have Jen Josie join us, and she's a hoot. I had an opportunity to meet her a couple months ago, but she's going to talk about building a business with your spouse. So we'll put it on the link on the website. Guys, thank you so much for joining, and Jason, a pleasure.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
See you.